This episode of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour is sponsored by the law offices of Alfred Guillaume III, a boutique criminal defense firm located in Washington, D.C. The firm specializes in defending federal criminal cases. You can learn more about the firm by visiting our website at guillaumelaw.com. That's GUILLAUME law.com. Welcome to the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. This month's episode features an interview with powerhouse injury and plaintiff's lawyer, attorney Samuel Anyan from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Sam has built a thriving practice representing clients in all types of injury cases. He has recovered millions of dollars on his clients' behalf. Sam's journey in the law has also been an inspiring one. He did not allow early setbacks to determine his future success. This interview was inspirational to me and is a reminder that no matter the obstacle in life, we can always overcome it and achieve success if we stay focused. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is an interview you do not want to miss. Welcome to another episode of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. I'm here today joined by my friend, fellow Twin Tower and 6 foot plus alumnus of Howard University School of Law, personal injury attorney Samuel Anyan. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. Look, thanks for coming down. When I saw you, when you came into the office for the first time today, I hadn't seen you in a while. I said, wow, there is somebody that's taller than me, man. You look good, man. It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
Right. Well, just for the record, how tall are you?
I'm 6'6".
Okay, that makes me about 6'5".
Yeah.
Right.
Ain't bad.
That's not bad, man. Look what you say. Tall guys, ball guys. We got to stick together, all right?
100%.
100%. Sam has joined us from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he has a thriving personal injury practice. He is a Baltimore, Maryland native. As I said a moment ago, he is my classmate from the best class in the history of the University of Howard University School of Law, 2005, HU.
You know.
05 keeps it alive. This is our 20th year since graduation.
Amen.
So I am so happy that he's joined me in the season 2 of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour in our 20th year since graduating from law school. And I've known Sam since 2002 when we first met. And a little fun fact about us is that he was the first friend that I had in law school.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Penance ceremony. Like, who's this tall dude?
Right. The penance, he wanted to make sure he sized me up. And I said, yeah, man, don't worry about it, man. We're allies in this.
We're allies, man. Let's get it done.
At that time, I had hair. I don't think you did, though, brother. I think you've been.
Nah, man. I lost my hair at like 21.
I lost mine soon after getting to law school, but yeah, I had a little hair. You didn't. But man, thank you for coming down again. It's really great to see you, and hopefully we can really catch up and see each other more before we have this great reunion that we have in a few months. But I'm glad that you're here because I want the world to know more about you, who you are, what you're doing, what got you here. You have I know your story. I want you to share it. It's a very inspirational story to me. You were just a thriving practice. You have a wonderful family life. You have a beautiful wife and children. I want to talk about all of that stuff. So let's take it back to the beginning. You are from Baltimore, Maryland.
From Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised.
And you have any lawyers in your family, or are you the first one?
First lawyer in the family.
That's a lot. That's the case for a lot of us.
I'm not the last lawyer in the family.
Right, not the last lawyer in the family.
I'm the first lawyer in the family.
Right. A lot of us African-American lawyers of this generation, of this age, many of us are the first lawyers in their family and did not have another person to guide them through this process from law school to beyond. Right. So how did you first decide you wanted to go to law school?
You know, man, I think parents sometimes set the vision for their children. Children growing up know a little bit about the world, but they don't know how the world works, really.
Right.
My dad said to me, he said, Sam, you like playing sports. You've dedicated yourself to that. The sciences are going to be tough. I come from a science family. My mother was a junior high school science teacher. My father was a med tech.
Oh, nice.
My sister's a stenographer. my brother is a pharmacist. So everyone in my immediate household where I grew up is in healthcare, medically inclined. Me, I like to talk. I can talk my way out of it.
Yes, you can talk. Talk a lot of what?
So my dad was like, you like sports too much. He said the chemistries and the sciences and the maths might be difficult. He said, you should think about law. And honestly, it really wasn't. And I thought about it, and I took, I kept that under advisement. But it wasn't until my great-grandmother was the victim of nursing home neglect that I said to myself, maybe this is an avenue where I can help people.
Wow. How old were you when that happened?
I had to be. My grandmother was 101. My great-grandmother was 101.
Wow.
So I was probably at the time 20.
Okay, and you were in college at that time?
I was in college at that time.
Now you mentioned sports. You played basketball for the George Washington University, right?
Played basketball at George Washington University.
Nice.
Go Revolutionaries. Used to be Colonials, but somehow that's politically incorrect.
Really? Revolutionaries?
So now they changed the name to Revolutionaries.
Okay, interesting choice.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so you were playing sports. Mm-hmm. You're obviously not going to the NBA. Just kidding.
Look. No shame in that. I tried my best.
Right. I mean, most of us don't even have that option, myself included, man. Of going playing professional sports. I mean, Charles Barkley. I saw a recent interview. It's probably an old interview, but a clip where he talked about 4 million black boys trying to get about 100 jobs, talking about being on an NBA roster, and how you have a lot better chance of being a doctor or a lawyer or anything.
Absolutely. It's the work ethic that you learn from team sports, even individual sports, learning how to work as a team, learning how to work through adversity, learning how to train and discipline yourself every day to be the best version of yourself.
Right.
Those lessons that you learn in that translates to the work environment, the team environment, if you're working in groups, translates to matriculating through college and law school, putting up your best, knowing that you have to perform, knowing that all eyes are on you and you have a team depending on you.
Right.
I mean, I've been able to translate those lessons into my practice.
I mean, sports is really a great metaphor for the law and for really all things. I mean, I think I'm a firm believer in that. But you were talking about your great-grandmother. She was in a nursing home. She's up in age, over 100 years old. Mm-hmm. You're in school. You're not in law school, but you're in undergrad. Mm-hmm. What happened to her?
So what basically happened is that they dropped her. She was bedridden, and, she had to be turned a certain amount of times a day. I think they were moving her from one bed to another, and they dropped her. And she wasn't verbal at the time, so she couldn't communicate. But what happened when they dropped her is that she broke several bones.
Wow.
She broke her femur, she broke her elbow, and they didn't know, and they didn't report it.
Right.
And so there was a lot of pain and agony that she went through that no one knew the origin of until, unfortunately, complications arose and she passed, and we learned that,
that was part of the reason why.
That's part of the reason. Forensics said that this had to happen from a fall, and it wasn't reported. So there was a settlement, and my grandmother at the time and my great aunts and my uncles and aunts, litigated the matter on her behalf. But
there was no lawyer in the family. So these are people that are like lay people.
Yeah, so they hired their lawyers, lay people. But the hurt that you feel, feeling betrayed by, a nursing home that, promised to take care of her. And then that was deeply disturbing.
And now in your practice, you are but one of the most successful lawyers that I know. I mean, I say that in all sincerity. I mean, you have been able to obtain millions of dollars on behalf of your clients and fighting for them in these types of cases and other types of cases where they've been injured. But I know that your career didn't start off as a personal injury lawyer. Can you kind of tell us how you came into the current career that you're in?
Yeah, so let's go back to 2005. I graduated from Howard University School of Law. I took a job in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office.
As a prosecutor?
As a prosecutor, handling misdemeanor cases. Unfortunately, they had a rule that if you did not pass the bar the first time, they weren't going to hold on to you. I was actually in a car accident in April. We graduated from law school in May 2005. Right. I was in a car accident in April. I was hit by a drunk driver, rear-ended.
Wow. I seem to kind of remember that.
Yeah, so we were leaving from a party. I forgot where it was. Driving home, got smashed by this guy who was drunk. My neck was killing me, man. When we were studying for the bar,
right.
I tried to bend my head down to study, and I couldn't. So I had to study for the bar, no lie, lying down on my bed with my papers hung up, in front of me to try to study. I didn't pass.
Right, which is probably devastating at the time, right?
I missed it by a couple points, and so they had to let me go. I went home. I was feeling a little better. Took the bar again. I passed. In between time, it was Megan Townsend, our classmate,
right,
who knew a judge. She was clerking for a judge in Philly. She knew a judge that needed a law clerk. So I wound up clerking for a judge. That's how I got back to Philly, because I was in Philly for probably 3 or 4 months. When I didn't pass the bar, they let me go. I moved back to Maryland with my parents. I was in touch with Megan. She knew somebody. Sent her my resume. She got me a job with a new judge in Philly. Judge met with the judge, hired me. I was able to study for the bar and work for the judge. But the judge was new, I was new, and honestly, we didn't get along.
Right. So let me just unpack all this. You give us a lot of information there.
Yeah.
For law students and people who are familiar with this process, who've been through it, like we all have, it's a very big deal in your mind at the time to not pass the bar, right? To not pass, you've been in school for 3 years, you've worked your whole career, your whole law school career for this moment to be able to practice law. So you studied the whole summer, and you were studying in a great amount of pain, your personal situation, but then you get the results months later, and then you find out you haven't passed, you've lost the job that you thought you were going to have. So financially speaking, I don't know if you were independently wealthy, maybe you now, but back then, I know you weren't. So that's got to play games with your ego, right?
Oh yeah. So we can even go back a step. We can go a step back. After 2L year, you get offers from law firms to summer at their establishment, at their firm, and you get offers for your third year.
Right. So
I summered for a big firm in New York, and I didn't get the offer.
Right. So that makes
that job would have paid $150,000 coming out of law school.
Yeah.
So not only did I didn't get the job coming out, and there's a whole story about that. I was in the bathroom, and there was a partner that was talking about Rodney King and black people in the restroom. I said something to the internship coordinator, recruiting coordinator, wherever it was. All of a sudden, there was a problem with my work.
Wow.
So
you made it to that point to even get to that law firm for the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was hard to do. It wasn't easy to do. I didn't have that experience. I was not part of that summer class, those summer classes that went to those big law firms.
Yeah.
And I remember folks were making, at the time, I thought it was an enormous amount of money, like $2,000 a week. And I was, I don't know, I wasn't making $2,000 a week. I don't remember in my summer job in law school.
So what happens is, if you work in the summer, you don't get the job, you get outcasted. So people think there's a problem with your work.
Right.
So not only did I not get the job there, I couldn't get a job coming back third year.
In big law, right?
In big law, I couldn't get a job.
So you had to go to the
I really
prosecutor's
couldn't get
office.
interviews. So I went and met with Miss Conti, and we tried to work something out.
Miss Conti, our director of career, was her
Career
official title?
Services,
Career Services,
or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I'm working with Miss Conti. I'm sweating bullets. I don't have a job. I wound up getting a job with the DA's office. The guy saw something in me.
Now, why Philadelphia? Why'd you go there?
That was where the opportunity was. I mean, I got hired. I interviewed with several people. Philadelphia was where the offer was. I had met with the Cook County prosecutor's office. I had met with Philadelphia in Illinois. I had worked with. I had interviewed with the Philadelphia District Attorney's office. They offered me a job. I took it.
Right.
So I said, "Hey."
And it wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't a high-paying job. Nothing like the summer job that you had.
Yeah, whopping $35,000 a year.
Yeah, I know about that life too.
So let's break this down. So I summered at this big firm. Didn't get the job that would have paid $150,000.
Right.
I come back to school. I get a job working at the DA's office that paid $35,000.
Right.
I didn't pass the bar, so I didn't get that job.
You didn't even get that job.
So now I'm clerking for a judge. And at the time, clerking for a judge, you made $31,000.
Yeah, I know about that life too. Yes, sir.
So I didn't have enough money to pay back my student loans.
Which was over $100,000.
I didn't have enough money to pay back my student loans. I had to defer my, loan payments for undergrad and for college. I had some undergrad loans, although I played basketball. I was on scholarship for part of my 4 years. The other part I had to pay for. So I was paying back those loans. I was paying back I had to defer my law school loans. I had met my wife at the time, and she was a teacher. She was making like $40,000. Wow. She was making more money than me.
Making more money than you. So, you have 2 degrees. You're a quote-unquote lawyer.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually had 3 degrees. I got a master's from GW.
3 degrees.
3 degrees was making $31,500.
We have the same story, except you end up with more money than the rainbow. I need to do it.
A treat for me was going to KFC. They had those dollar menus, right? So I would get a $1 sandwich, $1 fry, and $1 soda. If I did that twice, I could live each day off of $6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's something else, man.
And then my wife now, but girlfriend at the time, would either cook or she would buy us dinner. And
right.
We used to go to this place called, I think it was called Golden Nugget or something like that.
Right. I think I might know what you're talking about.
It's in Northeast Philly. They had
that's
these
where I'm
great
thinking
chicken
about.
fingers. We
have a lot in common, man.
Salad.
When you're talking about all this period in your life, had you passed the bar yet? Or not yet? Because working for a judge, you don't have to necessarily have a license.
Clerking for the judge. No, I was waiting for the results. So,
okay. That's another thing. It's
took
months
the bar
before
in July,
the
got the results in October, didn't pass. Went home, got hired by the judge, came back in November, took the bar again in February, didn't get those results back until like May.
Right.
So between that period, that year, it had been a year since I graduated from law school before I found out I was an actual lawyer.
A lot of uncertainty.
A lot of uncertainty.
And it could have really just, a lot of people would have given up. Their confidence level would have just been like shot.
Yeah.
And this is after 3 years of going to law school with all that work, putting in all that time, only to be like, well, you're not a lawyer yet. Yeah. So
I felt salty, man. I mean, I was like, why me? Why did I get in this car accident? Why am I in this predicament? Why didn't I get the offer from this law firm? What was wrong with me?
Right.
I mean, I spent part of my 3 year, depressed, man. I'll be honest with you.
Right. And yeah, I mean, and that's really amazing that you can admit that, because a lot of people would just not admit it and try to, keep that secret. But the fact is, we know how the story ends up. So
yeah. I mean, God had a plan. And so what happened was I clerked for this judge. It was a 2-year commitment.
Okay.
But probably 9-10 months into it, it just wasn't working out.
Right, it's working, right.
She wanted me to make evidentiary decisions. So I'd be in court with her. She'd be looking at me. Someone would object, and she'd look at me whether she was
really new.
Accept or deny. I mean, I don't think she had litigated before. It was a lot of pressure, but I tried my best.
Right. That's all you can do.
It didn't work out. I wasn't enjoying it.
Did you stay for the whole 2 years?
No. What happened is my wife knew someone who worked for Allstate Insurance Company. They were doing insurance defense.
She was married yet or not married?
Was not married. We're just dating. She had a girlfriend who went to church with her, who was a manager with Allstate Insurance Company, and they were looking for an associate, a new lawyer. And I said I wanted to apply for the job. I applied for the job. They gave it to me. I let the judge know, hey, look, can you let me out of this commitment a year later?
She's like, see you later.
She said she was happy and I was happy. It was a joint thing.
Right.
We were happy to leave each other.
Mutual breakup.
And that's when I was introduced to the world of personal injury. I started as a defense lawyer.
Right, defending insurance companies from plaintiff lawyers.
I defended Allstate Insurance from claims in slip and falls, auto accidents, and a wide variety of subrogation of property damage,
Right.
any of those things. So I learned the business from the defense.
So you started off in big law, corporate lawyer. That didn't work out. You went to the world of criminal law briefly, and then you ended up in the world of personal injury law.
Yeah.
All before you had made any kind of real money.
Yeah.
And you have all these loans to pay.
Oh, I was excited. I went from making $31,000 working for Allstate. I was making like 50.
Wow.
I was getting paid, man.
Right. Yeah.
I was getting paid. I was making 50,000.
50 plus your wife's 40. That's almost $100,000.
Yeah. Well, we were still just dating then. So I was there from 2006 and the latter part of 2006 to 2008. I worked at Allstate Insurance Company. Then another opportunity arose at a firm called Campbell Trial Lawyers. They did a lot of products liability defense.
Okay, what is products liability?
Products liability is basically a section of tort law where it's not a person's conduct that's at issue, it's a product that's at issue. Whether
the product's faulty or something?
Whether the product was faulty, whether it was defectively designed, or there was an issue with whether it was like a manufacturing defect, whether it had an element that was unsafe. So in this case, we were defending Ford Motor Company and Honda Motor Company from rollover cases. So SUVs that
I remember that was a big thing years back.
Yeah, so you got automobiles that roll over, and what happened is there's a dive to the roof theory. So people were snapping their necks and becoming quadriplegics or dying when their heads rushed to the roof of the vehicle when the car rolled over. And so we would defend, these were big cases.
Right.
I mean, multi-millions of dollar cases that we were defending on behalf of Ford Motor Company. So I really learned the ropes of catastrophic personal injury working with Campbell Trial Lawyers.
Right. And how long did you do that for?
Did that for about 2 years.
Okay.
And the issue there was, I was in depositions with these lawyers, and I'm like, these guys aren't that good. Right. They just got the case.
Right.
And we were writing checks for
hundreds of thousands, if not more dollars.
I mean, for 9 figures.
Right.
8 figures, 9 figures, checks. Fire cases, fire explosion cases, rollover cases, quadriplegia. I said,
I'm on
if
the
they
wrong
can
side.
do that, Big Sam can do that.
Big Sam can do it.
And I said, I'm on the wrong side. I'm cutting these checks. I'm on the wrong side. So opportunity arose. I played basketball with the Philadelphia Trial Lawyers. And a buddy of mine, Roy Smith, invited me to join the plaintiff's bar in the intramural basketball league.
Okay, so sports, again, plays a major role in your life.
Sports played a role. So I met a gentleman by the name of Rob Miller, who's now the managing partner at my firm, Wapner Newman, and we were on the same basketball team. And he thought I had the personality to be a plaintiff's lawyer.
And what does that mean?
Back then, here's the thing. Back then in Philly, there weren't many African-American lawyers in the on the plaintiff's bar.
Right, representing the people who were injured in accidents.
Yeah, most African-American lawyers were criminal lawyers,
right,
or they were defense lawyers, right? And the reason why they're defense lawyers is because defense firms paid the most money out of law school. So you graduate from law school and you get to one of these big defense firms in Philadelphia, they're paying you $80,000, $90,000, $100,000.
When you're a student, you come out, that's like an enormous amount of money.
Which is great money, versus a plaintiff's firm, which is going to give you $40,000, but you get the incentive to bring in cases and get a piece of the action.
And then when you bring in the cases, you get a piece of the case.
What was good for me is that I had done defense work now. I had been a defense lawyer for 5 or 6 years, and my salary is at a certain level. They agreed to meet my salary requirements and still structure a deal where I can make money off the cases I brought in. So I jumped at it.
Right, that's a pretty good deal.
Pretty good deal. I jumped at it, and I just took off, man. I had
You really
business
did.
cards.
I remember.
And I handed them to everybody.
I remember vividly in my mind.
Yeah.
I remember that when you first
I
started
was
doing
like,
that work.
There's no ceiling. I said, I can run away with this. I was meeting people in the elevator. I gave them a 2-minute elevator speech. I was posting on social media. That's the early days of social media.
Right.
Posting on social media. I joined men's basketball leagues, men's softball leagues. I went to my in-laws. I went to my own family. Said, tell everybody you know. Spread the message. This is what I do. I exhausted. I tried to go through a stack of business cards, which was probably 300 in a pack. Try to go through those in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So every 2 weeks, I wanted to go through a stack of business cards. That was my goal. And the next thing I knew, people were calling me from all over, say, hey, I got your card from a friend, said you were a nice guy. I got this issue. I was involved in a car accident. I had to slip and fall. Hey, my cousin has bed sores, or my great aunt has bed sores in this nursing home. Can you take a look at it?
How were you able to handle all that new influx of cases?
Well, we had a great infrastructure at Wapner Newman. Ironically, when I first joined the firm, I was working under a personal injury attorney. And the problem is that I was bringing cases in so fast and so quickly that I only worked for another lawyer maybe 3 or 4 months.
Right.
Then they gave me a paralegal and said, all right, let's build your practice. And the next thing I know, there was a part-time paralegal. 3 months after that, I had a full-time paralegal.
There you go.
3 months after that, not only did I have a full-time paralegal, I had a part-time associate under me.
Wow.
Next thing I knew, I had my own practice within a year of being a personal injury attorney.
So you had a meteoric rise.
It was phenomenal, man. It had to be ordained by God. But, I think God rewards hard work and those who help themselves. And I mean, I
believe the same thing, actually.
I went after it, bro. I just went with everything I had. I said, you know what, this is it.
And your practice I know you are a modest guy by nature, but your practice has, as I said earlier, generated millions of dollars for your clients, and is one of the preeminent practices in the state of Pennsylvania and elsewhere as well. I mean, it has we have a friend group from law school, and to watch you grow and others in the group grow, particularly you, because you're a self-made guy, and it's exploded because I'm your friend, obviously, and I know a lot of the stories that you've already told. I remember these times, but there was no guarantee that it was going to end up like this. You made it through your sheer force of will, which is amazing.
You know what? Talking to Willie Phillips, Willie and I used to have a saying in law school. It said, you may be smarter than me, but you're not going to
outwork me. I know. Shout out to Willie Phillips.
Shout out to Big Will.
Big Will, the man with the plan, man. One of the guys that we know and love here at the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour.
Yeah. So we used to have that saying, man. We long nights in the Rat, and we used to have that thing. You just don't get outworked, and not that I'm in competition with anybody. I'm not
with yourself. That's it.
Yeah, but in Philly, Philly can be very prestige oriented. So what high school you went to matters. What college you went to matters.
University of Pennsylvania.
What fraternity you were in. Are you a native of Philly? So I wasn't born and raised in West Philly like Will Smith. I didn't go to
the Friends School.
I didn't go to one of the Friends schools. I didn't go to
University of Pennsylvania or
Central High School.
Right.
I didn't go to Temple or St. Joe's or LaSalle. I didn't go to one of those
Drexel.
schools. So I didn't have an embedded kind of alumni base or
you're an
group
outsider.
I could depend on. So I had to do what I could do.
Right.
Barbershops, civic organizations, the Barristers Association. Shout out to the Barristers Association of Philadelphia, the NBA, National Bar Association. I didn't miss a meeting. I didn't miss a convention. I just worked as hard as I could.
And through it all, you got married and had a family. And I want to talk about that because to me, that's a big part of your story as well, and it's a part that I really admire. Your wife's a native of Philadelphia.
Yes.
And I guess you met her because you were there through that job at the DA originally, right? That's why you were there.
Well, here's the thing. So Michelle Miller and my wife,
our classmate
in Section 1. Shout out to Section 1.
Shout out Section 1.
They were
baby.
best friends. So I actually met my wife my first year of law school.
Oh, wow.
So, and I don't know if you remember those welcome back parties.
Yes, I do.
September.
Yes.
I think we were at Republic Gardens.
I love those
And
welcome back school parties.
Michelle introduced me to her. We had a great time. We danced, but I had like 5-6 girlfriends, man. Back on
Come on, man.
Let me stop. But I wasn't ready.
You weren't ready, right? You're in law school.
It wasn't even a question. I said it was a nice girl, but it wasn't time.
Right.
It wasn't until I moved to Philly that I said,
realized
Michelle,
what
where's that friend?
What you might have missed out on.
Yeah, we hung out. We went out, and I was in a new city, and she showed me around, and things just blossomed from there.
My wife is also a native of Philadelphia, so we had that connection as well.
Absolutely.
And in your story, for those people who may not know, and I don't know if we can Google this, I think you might know what I'm going to say. Your proposal story was on national TV. And can you talk about that?
Yeah.
I remember that.
This is what happened, right? So I was a big fan of Deal or No Deal, right? So Deal or No Deal has a format where you there's this big board with different numbers, 100 to $1 million, and you have to open up 5 cases. And if you open up the case, and it eliminates numbers off the board. But once you start eliminating numbers off the board, the banker calls and you try to make a deal. So I was like, oh, this is great. I could do this. So they had an audition in New York. So my wife and I were dating at the time. I said, we should go up to New York and audition for the show. She had never seen the show before. We get up to the audition part. They find out I'm a lawyer, law student, budgeting lawyer, whatever you want to call it. They said, America's not going to root for a lawyer. She gets the job. She gets hired as the contestant.
Who? Your wife?
My wife. She didn't know anything about the show.
She wasn't even trying out.
She was just bubbly, went in there, and
she's got a lot of personality.
Had a lot of personality. She was like, they asked her, what would you do if you won the money? She said, I would throw a fabulous wedding. And she was like, well, do you have a fiance? She was like, no.
Sam, what you doing? Wink, wink,
nod, nod. So what happened was, we get up there. She makes it through the ranks, and she's chosen as a contestant. So part of her storyline, and all these reality shows, TV shows has a storyline, is this young girl from a small town. Her family was from Coatesville. Shout out to Coatesville.
Coatesville, PA.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Her family was from Coatesville. She wanted to have this dream wedding, but she didn't have a suitor. She wasn't far along to she hadn't reached the proposal stage.
I didn't know this was this involved. I mean, this is really fascinating.
Yeah. So what happened is the producers called me and said, well, she wants to get married. How do you feel about that? And I said, well.
The producers of the show called you.
Called me. I was like, yeah, she all right.
Yeah, she's cool. All right. I said, now, how long had you guys been dating at that point?
At that point, probably 8 or 9 months.
Okay.
So
a nice amount of time, but not that long.
Yeah, not that long. A good amount of time. I mean, I thought there was potential there. Right. I think I was in the right headspace at that point.
Yeah, let me tell you something. When I met my wife, I knew from the first second I met her, baby.
Yeah, it was something about my wife's voice that
it's those Philly voice, those Philly accent, man. I don't know.
It was something about her, the cadence of her voice that I said to myself, she's going to play a role in my life. It's interesting. Even when I was playing basketball and we would come up to Philly, the Big Five, there was probably 4 or 5 Philly schools that were in the A-10, our conference. Every time I came to Philly, I was like, Philly's going to play some role in my life. I didn't know what it was going to be. But it was amazing. Like a sixth sense that said, Philly's going to play a role in what I'm doing. And I wasn't sure how at the time, but I knew it was going to play a role. And when I heard my wife's voice, I knew that she would play a prominent role in my life, but I wasn't sure how. But I just said, wow, this sounds familiar.
Right. So you're back to the show. She's on the show.
So
she's
on the show. Call
you. They say, do you like her enough to marry her, basically?
Do you like her enough to marry her? They were like, well, would you marry her, or are you interested in proposing to her? And I thought about it, and I was like, you have to pray, right? Don't do anything without prayer and supplication, right? And someone said, yeah, I would. So they had a sponsor. I think it was like K Jewelers or something.
Right.
That
Yeah, I remember.
I was able to pick out a ring. I knew what kind of ring she wanted.
So you didn't have to pay for the ring?
I did not pay for the ring.
Wow. They just. I mean, you talk about
they set it. They set it out. For
luck of a charm. I mean, it's crazy.
Nor could I have paid for the ring.
Right. Oh yeah, I had that story too. I couldn't pay for mine.
I don't want to go there, but no, I couldn't. So they made it real easy to say, yeah, let's go forward with
wow.
it.
So they sponsored you. And I remember we saw it. It was on the
Still
show.
You can.
I'm sure I could probably Google it.
You can probably Google it. And it was great the way they set it up. They said, open the case. I opened the case. She was looking at the numbers. And Meghan Markle was one of the models in the show.
No.
She was on our
Shut
show.
up.
Meghan Markle was on our show.
What?
Yeah, if you watched it.
Princess of, was it Wales? Is she the Princess of Wales?
The future Princess of Wales was in our episode. She was a model.
This story keeps getting deeper and deeper.
I know. So they said, open the case. She was looking up the case. I was kneeling in front of her. I opened the case. And it was a wedding ring, and she was just beside herself.
I remember you
that
told us.
That was a great moment. So
that's an amazing story, a great moment. You're still happily married all these years later, and even though you didn't make it to the league, you got 4 other chances to make it to the league now.
I got 4 boys.
4 sons.
My oldest is 16. My youngest is 6.
Yes, sir. So 4 boys, and I know your oldest son. Well, both your two oldest, they both play basketball, right?
All my boys play basketball. Not all of them play basketball at the same level.
Right.
My oldest son, he's on a high school varsity team. He also plays AAU basketball. My 14-year-old, he plays for a school. He doesn't play AAU ball. He has interest in tennis and swimming. My 11-year-old is starting to take off with basketball. I'm coaching him now.
Right, so you're really involved. That's my next kind of thing I was going to bring up. You are, in spite of your busy schedule and your demanding job, you were really involved in your children's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Some things from childhood you wish you had, and so you try to, do the things that you wish would have been done.
Right.
My dad was from Africa. He was from Ghana, so the American sports he wasn't that familiar with. Football and baseball and basketball.
Right.
They knew soccer. If it wasn't soccer,
right.
If it wasn't soccer, he wasn't involved.
The Ghanaian team, they're the Black Stars.
Black Stars. My cousin played for the Black Stars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Same last name, Anyan.
No. He was a daddy, but.
I know the Boateng
he played years ago. Yeah, years ago. He played in, I want to say, the late 90s.
Okay. Yeah, I know the Boatengs. There was 2 of them. One played for Ghana, one played for Germany. Mm-hmm. So I know a little bit about the Black Stars.
Yeah, Black Stars. Big deal, man.
Yeah, there you go. We
have a Black Star in the family, man. He was playing professionally in Germany, and he played for Ghana. Yeah.
I mean, so sports, really, it's like a full circle with you guys. You're now a successful lawyer. You've got these sons who are have all this opportunity. They can play sports like their dad. They can become a lawyer like their dad, or a teacher like their mama, whatever they want to do. But you have been able to provide for everyone in your family because of the things that happened to you, with some of which at the time could be looked at as bad things. Not passing the bar, losing your job, getting in a car accident, and look how it's ended up.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that the hand of God is involved in everything, and everything happens for a reason. I think there's a passage that says, all things work for good for those that love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. And I believe that. And my mother, when she was trying to counsel me through my depression, kept reminding me of that, that all things are working out for your good. And there's a certain level of resilience you have to have,
right,
man, ultimately to make it. I try to stress that to my children. Success doesn't look like this.
Right, straight up and down.
Straight up and down.
Right.
Success can look like
all kinds of ways, zigzags, up, down, back again. Yeah, exactly.
Turns. And so for me, there were some setbacks, but we were able to push through them. And, you kind of know, I don't know about you, but I always knew the hand of God was with me, that God had His hand on me, that I was going to make it.
Yeah.
I was going to make it somehow.
Exactly.
I didn't know how I was going to make it, but I knew I was going to make it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, I never doubted or never lost faith that I would ultimately make it. I didn't know what it was going to be, how it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be in law or something else. I knew I was going to make it. But when I saw the opportunity, I said, this is it. I'm going to run with it.
You know, I feel the same, and it's so great to hear you say that. Before I let you go, I want to ask you, what does the future hold for Sam Anyan? Lawyer, father, husband?
Yeah, so look, man, one day at a time, man. You know, you can't put one day in front of the next because one, tomorrow's not promised, and two, you know, you can't look too far. It's just day by day. Every day I want to wake up, it's about the client when I'm at work. Providing for and recognizing that they've entrusted me with something very precious. They've lost something, whether that's a loved one, a limb, work or their working capacity, whether they have exorbitant amounts of medical bills or setbacks. They're at a loss, and they're looking to me to help make them whole and to use the legal process to try to make them whole. So I never take that for granted. So every day I wake up, it's about the client. And then at home, it's about trying to nurture these boys to be the best versions of themselves they can be. But recognizing as parents that we're just stewards here guiding what God has already put in them. I mean, I got 4 boys and they're so different,
right?
You know, and you recognize that, you know, they've been assigned to you by God, but God has put something in them that's driving them, and it's your job to help nurture that and bring out what God's ultimate goal is for their life or purpose for their life is. And I've learned not to take things personally. You know, sometimes you want to wring your kid's neck,
but you realize I know all about that too.
They have to go through their own process. You know, so just try to be the best father, husband, lawyer I can be. You know, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes. What does the future hold? I don't know. I still have a love for the game of basketball. I may want to get more involved in that. I've thought about doing the agent thing. There's a new frontier in NIL.
Absolutely.
Name, image, and likeness.
Absolutely.
Where there's opportunities to.
I got a guy I introduced you to, Jeremy Duru. He's got a lot to say about that.
Yeah, it's a lot of opportunities there. I may want to venture. In fact, I'm working with a startup right now. I'm general counsel for them. Shout out to Lease Athletics. I'm working with them right now. We got some NIL deals. I've done a few for some friends and their children, you know, who are now of age. So we'll see, man. I enjoy coaching. I'm coaching high-level AAU basketball. I've seen what the future holds for the NBA and, you know, some of, you know, big-time college basketball. I may want to get involved in that, but may just want to relax, man, a little bit.
I didn't sound like you got time to relax with all that going on.
I know, man. I still want to travel a little bit. You know, who knows, man.
Man.
Just one day at a time. One
day at a time, but you seem to have a great plan. And I wanted to tell you, man, I'm proud of you. I hope you keep doing big things.
Sir. Thank you.
And, you know, it's always good to see you, my brother. All right. And this 20th year reunion, we're going to get it in. Okay.
Yeah, let's solidify these plans, man.
Let's
I don't
do
know
it.
What's your Ron doing? He's president of the class.
Shout out to Jay Shizzle.
These Kappas better put it together, man.
I'm going to stay out of that, man. All right, my brother. Well, thank you for coming down. Thank you for talking to me. We look forward to you coming back and big successful things in your future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. Please subscribe to this podcast. It's available everywhere, including Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. New episodes are released on the 12th of each month, and if you'd like to see the video version of any interview, they can be found on my YouTube page at the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you on the B-side.